Hey everybody, it's Craig. Today we're going to be making a keto style soup. It has sausage, usually kale, but this time we're going to be using Brussels sprouts. A couple other things, celery, onions, and carrots, as well as cauliflower rice. Take the place of potatoes to make for a really nice, very low carb meal. So check this one out. Okay, I added a pound of pork here. What I'm going to do is just going to get this all stuck to the bottom and browned, and literally just leave it. I put that little bit of butter in there just to get it going because this pork might be lean. This was just pork from a tube. Just gonna let that brown and get stuck to the bottom. Next thing we're gonna do is gonna cut up 2 onions. I'm gonna cut up 4 stalks of celery because this is gonna make quite a bit of soup. And then these are long skinny carrots, so I'm gonna make I don't know, 6 here, and I'll chop those up. If you have bigger carrots, maybe 2 or 3 depending on the size, but you can see how skinny these are. These will go a long way. And then I've already got my Brussels sprouts here where I've just taken off that scaled end, the bottom stem, and then those will get nice and tender. So we're gonna chop this up, and none of this goes in until that's good and browned. You can see how that's kind of getting nice and brown in there. That's what we want. That's where all your flavor is going to be. And we'll just keep stirring this up. I added a little bit of seasoned salt to that. This is what I'm using. Just from Aldi's. Really good stuff. What I like to do is move instead of taking the pork out, I just move it over to one side, but you can see all that good flavor there. Now I'm going to add my onion to that. And my onion is going to sweat with put a little salt and pepper on that. And then once it starts getting cooked down, it's going to pull all that flavor up off the bottom. You can see what's going to happen. These onions are going to pull this stuff right up. And that's where all your flavor is. So we'll just let those sweat until they get translucent. And we're going to add in our celery and our carrots. Alright, so we got that all up off the bottom. Now what we're going to do, we're going to add in our carrots and our celery. We'll get everything mixed up here good. Get it seasoned, salt and pepper. And then I'll show you the rest of the stuff that we're going to add to this. Pretty much done. Just got to let it simmer. So back to you in a second. Alright, so I'm going to go through all the stuff that we have here as far as seasonings. After we've added the celery and the carrots, we're going to put 1 full quart of chicken broth in. Pour that in. Salt and pepper to taste. I use the seasoned salt. Smoked paprika, maybe a tablespoon of that, maybe 1 tablespoon of that is good. I use a little bit of crushed red pepper, maybe 2 teaspoons. A teaspoon of red cayenne. I use 1 tablespoon of this tarragon leaf, which is optional, but it gives it a good flavor. Thyme works really good in this, so I use a tablespoon or 2 of thyme. And then I also add some parsley flake, basil, and then I also add in garlic. I use fresh garlic, but you could use garlic powder. And then I use a tablespoon of oregano, just crushed oregano. So then, of course, here I've got my greens, which could be, it could be broccoli, it could be, in this case, it's Brussels sprouts, or normally I use kale. Kale is really good, and I'll chop up 3 cups of that. And then our substitute is this rice for potatoes, is rice cauliflower. And this is going to go in after everything. These are just 2 frozen packs. This is what is going to make this very low carb because we're cutting out the potatoes. Okay, so we sweated the onions, and then we sweated the celery and the carrots, and now we're just going to dump in this quart of chicken broth, whole thing. We may need to add a little bit of water to this, but that would be at the very end, so we're good there. We're going to add in our other seasonings and then bring it back. Alright, we got everything in there. Now the next thing we're going to do is bring this up to a simmer, and then we're going to add our cauliflower, and then the last thing we'll do is add our Brussels sprouts. From there we're going to want to make sure that we season it to taste. You might also need to add a little bit of water. You probably won't need much more than a cup or two. Alright, this is coming up to temperature, so I'm adding my Brussels sprouts. Look at good and tender in here. You can see I got a little steam coming up, so that frozen cauliflower is now getting cooked. And that seriously is all we do. I'm going to give this a stir, and I'm going to cover this. I'm going to just let this simmer. If you feel that you need to add a little bit of water, sometimes you do. I know when I add kale in, sometimes I'll put another cup or two of water in, but you can see that those Brussels sprouts are starting to green up. And we're going to let them steam in here for an hour. We'll come back. They'll be perfectly tender, and we'll be ready to plate this up. This probably takes about a half an hour to put together. I'm telling you, you can't get enough of it. You really can't. I've tried to make it and freeze it, and it just doesn't last long. Take it to work. Just a number of different things is fantastic. So we'll come back and we'll sample this. This is all set to go in an hour. So I wound up adding a hand in here and a cup of water. It only needed 1 cup of water, but it simmered for an hour, just under an hour, and the Brussels sprouts are tender. It's perfect. It's a really fast soup to make, super easy, and once you've made it once, you're going to want to have it all the time. The Brussels sprouts are fantastic. Just may have to add a little bit more seasoning to it, because that and the cauliflower kind of absorbs a lot of that salt, but it's delicious. So if you like these kinds of videos, please click the subscribe button and hit that like button. And we'll see everybody in the next video. Thanks a lot for watching.